So let's understand how government uses these three policy instruments to control inflation, that is excess demand, or deflation, that is deficient demand. During inflation or excess demand, the government may, now the first point, withhold its major projects like of construction, setting up new power plants, etc., so that people could have lesser income from the government. With lesser income, people cannot demand more. So, what government does, guys, under fiscal policy during inflation or excess demand is that what sort of government projects are running, those are withheld by the government. The government stops those projects or keep them on hold. Now, when a project is kept on hold, fresh income from the government to the public ceases to go. It stops going in the hands of public from the government. For example, when government stops constructing new roads or setting up new power plants, all the laborers, workers, engineers, consultants, contractors, they will not have fresh supply of money, that is income from the government. You understand this, guys, or not? I'm asking, do not write this, guys. Do not be in hurry to note down this. You should understand it, because until you understand, you cannot write this in exam. You know that your macro and micro syllabus is huge. You cannot mug it up. It's good to understand, and then only you would be able to write this correctly in exam. So when government withholds its projects, fresh income from the hands of government into the hands of public ceases to go. With lesser income now, people, or with no flow of fresh income, people cannot demand more. And this is how excess demand or inflation can be controlled by the government. Am I clear or not, guys? Whenever government does any expenditure, whether it is capital expenditure or revenue expenditure, ultimately the income goes in the hands of public. Ministers do not go and make roads. Bureaucrats do not go and make roads. They do not construct new railway lines, or they do not set up new power plants. All these things they get done through contractors. Contractors hire various engineers and workers. And this is how income flows from government to the public. Now, when a government project is put on hold, that flow of income from government to the public ceases to flow. It stops flowing, and with that, public has lesser income now in their hands. With lesser income, they cannot demand more. I hope you have understood, guys. Government also does lot many expenditure in agriculture by purchasing food grains and other items from farmers under its MSP scheme, that is minimum support price scheme. We will see that minimum support price in supply chapter. So government commits to farmers that in case at a particular price of a food grain, if the market does not purchase your product from you, you sell it to the government, government will purchase. This is how government purchases these produce of farmers, and thereby government does expenditure. Now when government holds this activity, farmers will not have fresh supply of income from the government. And with that, they would not be able to purchase new items like seeds or pesticides or any agricultural equipment. When they do not purchase these items, the urban area gets affected because Indian economy still acts more or less on, or it is based on agriculture. So this is how government tries to interrupt flow of income from government to the public through its fiscal policy, where so far we have talked about public expenditure. This is how government expenditure are curtailed to reduce flow of income from the government to the public. नुकसान नहीं हो गवर्नमेंट से उसको थोड़े टाइम के लिए होल्ड गवर्नमेंट में से दैट ओके आफ्टर 2 weeks we will purchase. They were already purchasing produce from the farmers. Now suddenly they stop. They say that now the new purchase would be after 2 weeks. Right. So for 2 weeks, farmers have to hold their produce, or they can sell it in the market at a lesser rate. Right. So I hope guys you all have understood this first point. Right or not? In case of inflation, the second thing that government can do is government may increase direct taxes. Direct tax means income tax. Now, when rate of income tax increases, disposable income in the hands of public becomes less. Suppose I am earning income of rupees 100 and rate of tax is 20%. Then after paying 20%, remaining 80% I can spend. But if the rate of tax is increased from 20 to 30%, disposable income in my hands would be only rupees 70. With lesser income, I would be demanding less, and this is how excess demand or inflation would be controlled. Am I clear all? Have you got this? Those who are online, Mansha, Sarthak, Sushna,
Yes, sir.
lesser income causes lesser demand. बोलिए उससे गुड्स की प्राइस बढ़ेगी. But those who have money in their pocket, they still would be able to purchase it. So indirect tax is not an effective tool to control inflation. You should hit one's income instead of on expense side you should work, right? The third point, guys, is the third instrument of fiscal policy, that is government loan, that is public debt. Now, during inflation, government may start selling its own securities through the Reserve Bank of India so that extra or surplus income in the hands of public could be somehow diverted into government securities. So many people, those who will have extra or surplus income, because of which there is excess demand or inflation, they now will get avenue to park their surplus funds where in government securities. So many people will decide to invest their surplus income in government securities which pay interest at a certain rate instead of spending that money in the market. This is the other way by which excess demand or inflation can be controlled. Am I clear? So here the government may sell or auction, okay, sell its own securities. That is not selling securities. That is government bonds and thereby take loan from those who have surplus income or savings. Selling government securities is usually done by the government through the Reserve Bank of India. This is how excess supply of money in the economy is diverted into investments in government securities instead of that being spent in the economy. That here means income.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Have you got this, Mancha?
I have a doubt, sir.
Yeah, Mancha. Tell me.
Um, in the before one, the last point, what kind of government securities or bonds are sold by the government?
What kind of government securities or bonds are?
Are sold by the government?
See, there are different kinds of government bonds. They are 10 years bonds, 20 years bond, 5 years bond. So bonds means it's a certificate like debenture certificate. Now we have not seen debentures even in accounts. So let me tell you that it's a certificate which mentions that government has taken that much of loan, right? And it carries interest at a certain rate. So rate of interest is also mentioned and date of repayment or maturity of that bond is also mentioned. Either you or me as an individuals or any bank or any other money market participant like insurance company, mutual fund companies, right? they can purchase these government bonds. And with this, extra savings of the economy goes in the hands of government. So this is how government takes loan. Or during deficient demand, the government uses its fiscal policy instruments, out of which we have already discussed about public expenditure. Now, public revenue or government receipts. So during deflation, the government may decrease its direct tax rate so that people could have more disposable income, and thereby extra demand is provoked. इनकम टैक्स, कंपनीज पे जो टैक्स लगता है इनकम टैक्स, कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स कहते हैं. वो इनकम टैक्स देता है, कंपनी देती है कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स, है दोनों इनकम टैक्स. अगर आपकी कंपनी है, उसकी कंपनी के नेट प्रॉफिट पे जो आप टैक्स पे कर रहे हो, दैट इज कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स, बट दैट एक्चुअली इज इनकम टैक्स. Since it is on corporate, that is why we call it corporate tax. नहीं, डबल कहाँ है, दोनों एंटिटी अलग अलग है. हाँ, बट क्योंकि उसका उसका स्टेटस क्या है, इंडिविजुअल है, और कंपनी का स्टेटस कंपनी है, दोनों अलग अलग है. कंपनी उसको जो डिविडेंड देती है, दैट इज टैक्स फ्री, उस पर टैक्स नहीं लगेगा. हाँ, अगर आपकी कंपनी है तो. असल में उसमें ऐसा होता है कि टैक्स तो पहले ही लग गया है ना, तो उस प्रॉफिट पे टैक्स तो लग ही चुका है. अब उसके टैक्स लगने के बाद जितना भी प्रॉफिट आप उसको जैसे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना चाहते हो, एप्रोप्रिएशन अकाउंट में जाता है वो डिविडेंड. नेट प्रॉफिट गया, वहां से डिविडेंड चला गया. हाँ, जितना जो कंपनी डिसाइड करेगी कितना देना. You pay more dividend, it means you will have lesser savings in your company. Later, if you want to grow your company or want to वापस कैपिटल राइट कर सकते. इसका मतलब आपके पास जो डिविडेंड आया, यू कैन नॉट स्पेंड दैट. बात वही हो गई. इफ यू स्पेंड देन यू कैन नॉट री इन्वेस्ट. And the third point is, guys, is where the government may purchase its own securities through the RBI so that there could be excess supply of money in the economy. Additional money creates additional demand.